Burnout is something that most gamers can relate to. The feeling of finding a game that checks all the boxes and keeps you coming back. But sometimes you come back so much that you become somewhat bored, and Dragon's Dogma is no exception. I know for me personally, I have a hard time finding exciting things to do at this point, even though I always have a pretty fun time whenever I do get to play. So that's what sparked me to do this video. I have a couple of tips on crushing Burnout, and I think the last one may come as a bit of a surprise to some of you. I have 5 in total, and like usual, they're in no specific order. So let's start the list off. Swapping out pawns. A fun way I like to spice things up is to simply swap out my party with pawns I meet on the road. Pawns in Dragon's Dogma 2 got a major revamp. Their experiences, vocation, inclination, body type, and voice allow for hundreds of combinations, so it is unlikely to meet 2 pawns who play exactly the same. I met a pawn very early on that I still use to this day, because I just haven't met a pawn like him again since. So that should go to show just how big of a difference this can make, especially if you're a player who keeps the same party roster. And in the same vein as that, you could try running with no pawns at all. For a couple of my videos, I get rid of my pawns for cinematic purposes, and boy does it change how challenging the game is. The game is scaled to you having pawns, so without them and the help they provide, you see a really big difference. But it can be sad not having your trusty myrmidons at your side, so I try not to do this if I can. The roads are rather lonely without them. Creating new characters/challenges. Something I've been considering as of late has been to start a new character, as there isn't really a way to recreate the thrill of being weak when you've beaten the game multiple times. But I think starting a new character can achieve that. Starting from scratch will let you experience all those life or death moments you remember, and on top of that you can implement challenges or limitations to your new arisen, such as limiting purchases from vendors, using specific weapons or vocations, or even by having a permanent death for you and pawns while seeing if you can beat the game. One idea I've had for a video for a while would be trying to beat the game with the ring you get from the Sphinx, the Ring of Derision, which lowers your attacks to the lowest amount possible. So let me know if anyone would be interested in that series. Changing weapons and vocations for playthroughs. Now this one can go hand in hand with the last one, but it can also be done on its own. I think it's easy to get sucked into one vocation or another. Personally, I tend to stay on warrior weapons, since I love huge swords and I'm just more comfortable with them. But some time ago I started to use other vocations like magic archer and sorcerer, and it's been really fun. I basically always keep at least one of these weapons on me at all times. And with warfare you can use whatever combo you want. Try merging your old playstyle with a few skills to complement them. I've seen some crazy combos done across the internet, and it seems like there are no limits to the crazy things you can achieve, if you just get a little creative. Mods. PC only. Next we have mods. Sadly, console doesn't support this, but if you play on PC, there are so many options for you. It really makes me jealous, as there are some great mods, including custom difficulty, which allows you to alter your game difficulty in multiple ways. Randomized loot, which makes loot drop from enemies exclusively, making attaining stronger gear that much harder. And most importantly of all are the vocation mods. Some very talented people have created completely new vocations, so if you're on PC, please check them out. There are plenty of videos going over those here on YouTube. And finally, the most unspeakable tip. Something nobody has ever thought about when playing their favorite game. I'd recommend sitting if you play Dragon's Dogma a lot. Are you ready? Play other games. It really is just as simple as that. It's easy to get so obsessed with the game, especially Dragon's Dogma 2, as it's able to be played over and over with the same character. I actually had this problem while playing Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen. I kept playing every single day despite not having anything I was working towards. I really can't explain it, but it might be a good time to give Dragon's Dogma a rest, so that when, or if, DD2 gets a DLC, you'll be ready to face whatever comes your way. I never know how to transition my last talking point to the outro, but that was 5 tips for beating Burnout. I hope some of these can inspire something new in your gameplay, or give you a good idea on how to manage a burnout. Hopefully you just never get it in the first place, but with how long we've waited for any definitive word on DLC, it's to be expected. Although, according to this leak, we only have about a week, at the time of me writing this, until we potentially get an announcement. I just hope it's actually true, as DLC is the ultimate burnout killer. But, as I do in most videos, I have one thing for you, and that's Uh...
Bye-bye.